Welcome to Live Daf, your online DafYomi Shiur.
Shalom, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Brachos Daf Mem. Right on top on the first line says the Gemara, Amarav, Toil broich, en itzarach levarich. Now we know if one makes a bracha prior to eating or before fulfilling a mitzvah, he's meant to stay focused on the task in hand, and not to be mafsik, not to interrupt unnecessarily. If one interrupts with words, that is considered to be hasach hadas, diversion of one's attention, and it would require one to repeat the bracha again. Says the Gemara, if one made a bracha of hamoitzi for a group of people, and prior to him partaking in the bread, he announces, Toil b'roich, take the slice of bracha, the slice of bread that the bracha was recited on. That is not considered to be a hefsek. Why? As Rashi says, these words, atzorach bracha, are for the benefit, are essential for the bracha. He's passing them their slices, which is actually a fulfillment of the bracha when they eat the slice of bread that the bracha was recited on. So that's not considered to be a hefsek, and does not require him to repeat the bracha again. Again, says the Gemara, Amarav, Toil broich, en tzarech levarich. However, have melach, have lifton, tzarech levarich. If he announces, bring the salt, bring the relish to eat with the bread, that is considered to be a hefsek, and he must make the bracha again. Rabbi Yechon Amar, afilu haviyu melach, haviyu lifton, nami ein tzarech levarich. Even announcing, bring the salt or the relish, that too is not considered to be a hefsek. Why? Because that also is l'tzorech bracha, so that the slice of bracha should be eaten with greater enjoyment. So that's also not considered to be a hefsek, and he does not need to repeat the bracha again. However, gava l'turi, if he announces, go knead the bran with the water for feeding of the oxen, gava l'turi, tzarech levarach, that is not essential, and that is considered to be a hefsek, which requires him to repeat the bracha again. Rav Sheshes Amar, afilu gava l'turi nami in the tzarech levarach. That also is not considered to be an interruption, which would require him to repeat the bracha again. Why? The Amar Rav Yudam Rav, aser la'adam sheyechal. One may not eat koidem she'itin machal be'emtoi, prior to him feeding his animals. Shanamar v'nasalti esav b'satchel v'emtecha. Hashem says, I will give grass in your field for the sake of your animals. And then v'hadar, it says v'achalta v'savata, you eat and be satiated. So apparently Hashem picked this sequence to teach us that first one is responsible to feed his animals, and only then can he partake in his meal. So therefore, according to Sheshes, giving the order to prepare the food for the animals, that is essential for one's meal, and therefore is not considered to be a hefsek. So in summary, we have three shittas. Rav tells us, Toil broich, that is not a hefsek. Rav Yechon adds, even announcing, bring the salt or the relish, that is also not a hefsek. According to Rav Sheshes, even saying, go prepare the food for the animals, that also is not considered to be a hefsek. Now this is all if he speaks out. L'chatchila, preferably one is not meant to speak out at all in between the bracha and eating, if it is not necessary to do so. Continues the Gemara, Amarava of Shmuel Mishra B'chia. If one makes a bracha on behalf of a group of people, he should wait prior to making the bracha until they bring forth the salt and the relish to all in attendance. Why? So this way they won't have to wait between the bracha and eating. This way they'll avoid making a hefsek. So you should wait, let them bring the melech and the lifton first, then he'll make his bracha, and this will allow everybody to begin eating right away. Says the Gemara, Rav Bar Shmuel, Ikul Reish Galusa, Rav Bar Shmuel himself came to the house of Reish Galusa. Apikul Rifta, they served him bread, and he made the bracha immediately. He didn't wait for anything. So they told him, have you retracted from your own ruling? So they told him, this is different. Leizdain, this type of bread which is of higher quality, Leizdain tzarech b'shash, this doesn't require any delay for the arrival of salt or relish. One may eat this, make a bracha and eat it right away. This is very tasty without any additional components. Tosfos points out that nowadays as well, our grain is more refined and our bread is considered to be of superior quality and tasty even without the addition of salt or relish. However, Tosfos points out there's another reason to bring salt on the table. It protects us from the satan. The salt symbolizes our bond the bond between Yisrael and Hashem, the bris melech, just as salt doesn't spoil, so too our bond, our connection with Hashem is eternal, and this protects us. The place can bring another reason, that the table of a Yid is equated to a Mizbeach, and just as the korban on the Mizbeach required salt, so too our table should have salt. The Mishnah Berurah brings it in the name of the Bali Kabbalah, one should dip his bread in salt. So these are reasons above and beyond the basic reason of making the bread more enjoyable and tasty, which is referred to in the Gemara. Continues the Gemara of Amar Rav Bar Shmuel Mishum Rav Chia. The Gemara here will have a list of directives, of pieces of advice, which are basically health related. Number one is Ein meraglaim kolim ela b'yeshiva. Meraglaim, urination, only gets completely exhausted only when one urinates sitting down, b'yeshiva. As Rashi explains, when one is ba'amida, then one is concerned when the stream weakens and gets closer to him, that nitzitzitz will spray on his feet, the droplets of the meraglaim will spray on him. Therefore, he doesn't allow it to completely exhaust. So, preferably one should do meraglaim b'yeshiva where this concern is not present. If he has soft earth which absorbs meraglaim, then even standing up is not a concern since there's no spraying of the meraglaim. If he doesn't have soft earth, he should stand on a high elevated place and be mashed and urinate onto an incline which slopes away from him, where there's no concern of any droplets spraying on him. Continues the Gemara, after you eat food, you should eat salt. After you drink, you should drink water. This will protect you from harm. So it's beneficial to one's health. We learned a similar brisa. You will not be harmed. We have another brisa which says, if one eats all types of food, but does not eat salt, drinks all kinds of beverages without water, by day he should be concerned about bad breath. At night he should be concerned about the illness of askara. So salt and water are beneficial to one's health. The Ramah speaks out that if one's food contains salt already, or if one's beverage contains water, then this is not a concern. Said the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, if one makes his food float in water, he drinks a lot of water and washes the food, so he doesn't come to illness of the intestines. How much water should one drink to wash away his food? A full jug of water for a loaf of bread. Amar Mora Yechanan, one who's accustomed to eat lentils once in 30 days. He prevents the illness of askara from his home. As Rashi explains, askara comes as a result of constipation, and adashim, lentils, act as a laxative. Says the Gemara, okay, once in a while he should have adashim, but not too often. Not every day. My time, why? It is harmful to bring a bad odor, a bad breath. One is accustomed to eating chardal, mustard, once in 30 days. That too is beneficial. It prevents sicknesses from his home, but don't overdo it. Not every day. It can bring weakness to one's heart. Continues the Gemara, one who is accustomed to eating small fish, he prevents a sickness of his intestines. Not only that, these little fish are so beneficial, they cause one to multiply, to increase. They are marvin, they enhance the health, they strengthen the guf of a person. Finally says the Gemara, one who is accustomed to eating ketzach, which is fennel, he will not come to kevlev, to heartache. Meisvei says the Gemara, we have a brisa which seems to indicate that fennel is not really such a good thing to get involved with. Ketzach is echad mishishim samani amavis. Who? It is one of the 60 poisons. If one decides to sleep on the east side of the garden of the pile of this ketzach, of this fennel, his blood is in his head, meaning he's responsible if subsequent to this behavior he dies. So a person is not meant to sleep on the east side of the garden of the pile of ketzach. Rashi explains, since the wind coming from the west, the westerly wind, is moist and heavy and carries the effect of this fennel to the person. Apparently, fennel is not something good. Says the Gemara, like kasha is not difficult. Depends what. The odor, the smell of the fennel is poisonous, is dangerous. However, the flavor, the taste, that is good and beneficial. The mother of Yirmiyah, she would bake him a bread, and she would stick the ketzach, the fennel, onto the bread, so that the bread absorbs the taste, the flavor of the ketzach. Then afterwards she would peel it off, so that he doesn't get the odor of the ketzach. So in summary, we have a list of good pieces of advice. Number one was the halacha, that a beitzeya, one who makes a bracha on behalf of the crowd, he needs to wait until they bring the melech and the lifton to all of them. Then we learned about meraglayim. Preferably it should be done b'yeshiva, sitting down, or with afat techayach, soft and absorbent earth, or next to an incline, a madroin, which is sloping away from him, which carries no concern about nitzotzes or droplets landing on his feet. The Gemara continued and said, after one's meal, he should eat melach. After one drinks, he should drink mayim. And as the Ramah pointed out, this is when his ordinary food doesn't contain salt, and when his beverage doesn't contain water. But in that case, he already fulfills this concept by having salt as an ingredient in his food, and his beverage containing water. The Gemara continued that lentils are good once in 30 days, so is mustard. Small fish, dagim tanim, are very beneficial. And ketzach, fennel, the taste is good, but not the odor. Continues the Gemara, Rabbi Omer, Bayri minid d'shayim. Rabbi holds, one is not meant to make a general bracha on all produce coming from the ground, but rather he must be specific and make a bracha on every subcategory. For instance, herbage, cabbage, requires bayir minid d'shayim. Seeds, lentils, grains require bayir minid d'zrayim. Amar Abzeira, v'tein Rav China Papa, ein och Rav Yehuda. The halacha does not follow Rav Yehuda's opinion. We'll make one general bracha on the entire category of the Pri Ha'adama. V'amar Abzeira, v'tein Rav China Papa, my time with Rav Yehuda. What is the reason for Rav Yehuda's shita that requires a specific bracha on every subcategory? Amar Ka, because the pasuk says, Baruch Hashem yom yom. Bless Hashem every day. Says the Gemara, what does it mean, yom yom? We only bench Hashem by day, not at night. The pasuk that tells us Baruch Hashem yom yom tells us, Kol yom v'yom, every single day. Your praise to Hashem should reflect the bracha of that day. The bracha, the blessing that Hashem bestows on us on that day. It should reflect the nature of that day. As Rashi explains, on Shabbos, the praise of Shabbos reflects the nature of Shabbos. On Yom Tov, we praise Hashem, and our praise reflects the nature of Yom Tov. Hachanami here too, kol min v'min, every specific species, tein lo bein v'chosav, you should praise Hashem, and your praise should reflect that specific type of bracha, of blessing that Hashem bestows on us. Therefore, every subcategory gets its own bracha. Come take a look at the contrast between the characteristic, the behavior of Hashem is unlike the midas basar adam, the characteristic, the behavior of a human being. Midas basar adam, the behavior of one who is flesh and blood, a human being. In the physical realm, we find that kli reiken machzik, an empty vessel, can contain, you can fill it. However, mole, if the vessel is already full, Eini machzik, you can't fill it anymore. There's no room for more. Ava Kadosh Baruch Hu, but Hashem is not so. In the spiritual realms, things work differently. Mole machzik, one who is full, he is filled with chachmas Hashem, with spirituality. That in turn breeds more. That attracts more. Mole machzik. One who is filled with spirit, with ruchnius, he can receive more. However, Reikon, if he's empty, if he's devoid of spirituality, of ruchnius, he is a physical person. Einei machzik. He doesn't attract chachma, he doesn't attract wisdom, he doesn't attract spirituality. Shenemar, as it says, Vayoyim Shemaya Tishma, if you will listen and listen, what is this double expression? We expound as follows. We darshan Im Shemaya, if you have already heard when you were young, when you were younger you made sure to absorb Chachmas Hashem, you learn Torah, Tishma. When you get older, when you grow older, you will indeed be zeichet to hear more, to learn more Torah. Vim lav, but when you were young, you neglect it, you ignore Torah. Lo Tishma. When you get older, you will not have the opportunity to do so. So if one willingly neglects Torah at an early stage, he will not be zeichet to have more Torah later on. So we see that Torah breeds more Torah. Another drasha is in Shemaya b'Yashan. If one makes sure to review, to chazer, everything that he already learned, his old Torah, Tishma b'Chadash, he will merit to absorb more, to grow in his Torah knowledge, to appreciate the depth of the Torah that he has already learned. The point of reviewing is not only to commit it to long-term memory, to review merely the words, the facts, but in Torah it works differently. When one reviews and learns again and again the same material, he always will gain a deeper insight, a new observation. That is in Shemaya b'Yashan, Tishma b'Chadash. You will learn something new. But if your heart strays, Shuvlei Sishma, you will not learn anything new. Says the Gemara, Berach al Peras Ilan Beir Pri Adama Yatza. If one make a bracha on Peras Ilan, on tree fruits, instead of the proper bracha of eitz, he made a Beir Pri Adama Yatza, he fulfilled his obligation. However, al Peras Ha'aretz, if one on fruit from the earth makes a bracha Beir Pri Eitz, Lo Yatza, he's not fulfilled his obligation. But on any type of food, if one makes a bracha of shahakol, which is an all-encompassing bracha, it's a bracha klolis, shahakol niyabedvari, everything came about through Hashem's words, he's yaitzi fulfilled his obligation. So l'chatchila, certainly one is meant to recite the proper bracha on tree fruit, ha'etz, on fruit coming from the ground, on vegetables, etc., ha'adama, on food that is neither coming from the tree nor from the Adama, one is meant to say shahakol. But bidi evet, if he switches things around, he can be yaitza if he says Adama on a fruit tree, on a fruit from a tree, but not if he says ha'etz on a vegetable growing from the ground. As the Mishnah concludes, the bircha shahakol can bidi evet be applied to anything. It says Mantana, who is this opinion? Who holds the ikar ilan arahi, that fundamentally the tree is really the ground? We said in the Mishnah that if one makes a bracha on a fruit that grows on a tree, he makes a bracha of ha'adama, he's yaitze. Because although the fruit is attributed to the tree is the one that produces the fruit. So the l'chatchila, one is merely meant to make ha'etz, and not ha'adama. But b'di eved, if one goes ahead and makes ha'adama on a fruit growing from a tree, he's yaitze. Why? Because ultimately, where is the fruit coming from? Where is the nourishment originating from? The tree is really subordinate to the ground. So really, technically speaking, the Adama, the earth, is really producing the fruit. So who is this Ma'andamar? Who holds this type of svara? That ultimately the tree really belongs to the ground, is batal to the ground, subordinate to the ground, and therefore if one recites a Hadama, a Beir Pri Adama on a tree fruit, he's Yaitse. Says the Gemara, not everybody agrees with this. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. This is not as we learned. Yovesh Hamayan, the stream got dried up. V'niktzah Seilan, the tree got chopped down. Maybe V'nikari, he can bring his Bikurim without reciting the Parshas Bikurim. Since one is meant to thank Hashem for the Adama that produces the produce. Now, if this man's stream that's feeding his field gets dried up, he's out of business. His land can't produce anymore. Similarly, if the tree fruit that he's bringing to the Beis Hamikdash, now the tree that produces the fruit is no longer, it got chopped down. So you can't praise and thank anymore Hashem anymore for the thing that it's producing, that produces this fruit of Bikurim. So he can bring it, but he can't recite the Parshas Bikurim, since the thing that's producing it is no longer in business. That is the shita of the Tanakama. So we see according to the Tanakama, what is producing the fruit? The tree itself. Therefore, when the tree is no longer, he can bring the bikurim, but he can't thank Hashem for giving him the thing that produces the fruit because it's no longer. However, he can bring the bikurim and even recite the parashas bikurim and thank Hashem for giving him the land that produces these items. Since according to Rav Yehuda's view, the producer is technically the land itself. Therefore, even if there's no stream of water, he still has the land. Even if there's no tree, he still has the land, the Adamah, the earth, that ultimately is producing the fruit. Therefore, according to Rav Yehuda, if one recites a Bar Pri Adamah on a tree fruit, he has been Yotzei, fulfilled his obligation. So this is Shittas Rav Yehuda, but not Shittas Rabbanan. According to Rabbanan, one must recite a Bar Pri Eitz, specifically, because it is the tree that's producing the fruit. And therefore, he cannot be Yotzei by merely saying Bar Pri Adamah. Continues the Gemara, Al Peres Haaretz, if one recites on Peres Haaretz, fruit emanating from the ground, he recites instead of Bar Pri Adamah, he says a Bar Pri Eitz, Lo Yatsa, he wasn't Yotzei. It says Mar Pshita, of course. That is simple. Why would you think that one recites a Bar Pri Eitz on produce coming from the Adamah should be Yotzei? Says the Gemara of Rav Nachman Ritzchak Litzrucha. The Mishnah is coming to teach us, according to Rav Yehuda. El Rav Yehuda, the Amar Chita min Ilan here. Rav Yehuda maintains that a wheat, a stalk of wheat, is a min Ilan, is considered to be a tree. The Sani, as we learned, Ilan she'achal mena Adam Rishon. What was the tree, the Eitz Hadas? What was it? The Torah doesn't describe exactly what it was. What type of tree was it? Says the Gemara of Meir Omer Gefen Haya. It was a vine. Why? She'en lecha davar. There's nothing. She'mevi lola la'adam, that brings wailing to humanity. Ela yayin, more than wine. She'nemar vayesh min hayayin vayishkar. Noach drank from the wine and became intoxicated, and this brought shame and embarrassment. Ultimately brought the klal, the curse on Canaan. So we see that wine can bring bad things. So Rabbi says, it's a staver. It is reasonable to say that the tree that brought about the tremendous tragedy on humankind, the Bisa, mortality to humanity, that must have been the vine that brings wailing to us, brings Yalala. Therefore, Rabbi maintains that the Eitz Hadas was a vine. Rabbi Nechemia was actually a fig. Because we find that Adam and Chava used the leaves of a te'ena, of a fig tree, to cover themselves. So apparently that was the tree that brought tragedy, that brought kilkul, that brought ruin. And therefore that tree itself turned around and helped them out. That they were ruined by, they became remedy, they became fig. They sowed the leaves of the fig tree. So according to Nehemiah, the Eitz Hadas was a fig tree. Finally, Vida Eimer, what was the Eitz Hadas? Chita Isa. It was a wheat, a stalk of wheat. Since we know that in the development of a child's intelligence, to the extent that he can start speaking words, his first words generally being Abba V'Ima, father, mother, that coincides, that stage of development of his intelligence coincides with his first taste of grain, until he tastes grain. And chita is the primary grain, so it appears that it would be appropriate that the Eitz Hadas, the tree of knowledge, was a chita. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, chita is considered to be an eitz. Now, although a chita is a very modest and humble plant, doesn't look like a tree, the Mepharshim explain that it's called a chita, a ilan, on account of the fact that in the future, a wheat stalk will grow to the size of a tree. So in any case, according to Rabbi Yehuda, chita is considered to be an ilan. Therefore, says the Gemara, therefore I would think Rabbi Yehuda holds that a chita is from a tree species. Therefore the appropriate bracha is eitz. Kamash Malan, the Mishnah teaches us no, that even a chita, since it comes from the ground, the appropriate bracha is Bar Pri Adamah. So that is the meaning of this halach in the Mishnah, that if one recites on Peres Haaretz, he recites a Bar Pri Eitz, referring to a chita, which even according to Rabbi Yehuda is considered to be an eitz. Nevertheless, the appropriate bracha is Adamah. If one recites a eitz, he has not fulfilled his obligation. So Gemara, why? Why not? The answer is because Bar Pri Adamah is to be recited only on a tree that has a specific type of characteristic. Bari Pre'etz is meant to be recited on a tree that has a different type of characteristic. Says the Gemara, when is Bari Pre'etz appropriate and required? When you pick the fruit off the branch, that branch sticks around till next year and produces fruit again. So that is considered to be like the branch, the tree is producing the fruit. It is Bari Pre'etz. But in the case of once you remove the fruit, the branch doesn't come around next year to produce fruit again. In that case, the fruit is attributed to the earth, to the ground, and the proper bracha is we do not recite eitz, but rather ella boire pri ha'adama. The tree, the plant is not significant, the branch is not significant enough. Therefore, we attribute the fruit back to the earth. And the proper bracha is boire pri ha'adama. So in summary, the Mishnah taught us a couple of halachas on produce emanating from the ground, from the earth. The appropriate bracha is ha'adama. If one will recite ha'etz, he is not yaitze. Even a chita requires a ha'adama, and ha'etz is not valid. The Mishnah taught us, however, on a fruit coming from a tree, if one will recite ha'adama, according to Rabbi Yehuda, he fulfilled his obligation. Since ultimately it's the ground that produces the fruit. According to Rabbanon, he has not fulfilled his obligation. Continues the Gemara of Al-Kula and Mamar Shahakol, on any type of food. If one recites Shahakol, which is a general bracha, it is valid. He has fulfilled his chiyuv, he was yaitze. Itma we learned. Rav Huna ma chutz min hapas min hayayin. This halacha applies to any type of food except for two, bread and wine. Explains Rashash why. Since these two are significant, achashiv, they require their own specific bracha. Hamaitzi on bread, hagafen on wine. Therefore, we cannot be yaitze with a general bracha of Shahakol. Rabbi Yechon Amar, no, afilu pas v'yayin nami, even afilu pas v'yayin, even wine and bread. If one recites a shahakol, he fulfilled his obligation. Says the Gemara, name a Tanoi, perhaps this is connected to a different machlokes Tanoi. Ra pas v'amar, one sees bread and he says, Kama no pasu, how pleasant is this bread? Baruch hamakam shebara, blessed is Hashem who created it. Or Yatza, he fulfilled his obligation by merely saying these words. It is equivalent to a bracha. Ra te'ena v'amar, he sees a fig and he says, Kama no te'enizu, how pleasant is this fig? Baruch hamakam shebara, blessed is Hashem who created it. Yatza, fulfilled his obligation. Divrei Meir. Rabbi Yisrael, no. It's one who deviates from the formulation that the Chachamim prescribed for brachos. He's Meshana, he deviates from the matbeah, from the coin, meaning this formula that the Chachamim have established for brachos. He has not fulfilled his obligation. You can't just compose your own text. Says the Gemara, apparently these two machlekes are related. Name what we can suggest. Rav Huna said that shahakol cannot be applied to bread and wine. He's following according to the Shita of Rav Yosi, who says that if one deviates from the accepted formula, he's not yaitze. So he's following Shita of Rav Yosi. Rav Yechon who says that even regarding bread and wine, if one were to say hashakol, he's yaitze. He's following the opinion of Rav Meir, who says a similar halacha, that if one recites his own personal composition on bread, he's yaitze. So apparently these two things are connected. So as we want to know, Rav Huna says no, let's differentiate the two things. Let's make a distinction. I follow even Rav Meir. Why? Rav Meir only says this halacha, that one is yaitze when he says Kamana Pazeh, Baruch HaMakom Shabara, that's only over there. Why? Because that's unique. It's only over there because he makes mention of the bread. He says Kamana Pas. But by us, when he merely says a shahakol without mentioning the bread and the wine, if he doesn't mention the wine or the bread, I feel even Rav Meir will agree that this bracha is not valid. Rabbi Yechon also will say, I'm in agreement even for Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi only over there says that if one deviates, he's not yaitze elam mishum the kama bracha le'tkin rabbanon, because he composed his own bracha. He didn't recite a bracha which was established by the rabbanon. Therefore, he doesn't fulfill his obligation by saying those words. But in our case, aval amar shakolim mitvari the tkin rabbanon. But if one recites an accepted bracha, a shahakol, even if it's not really the appropriate bracha, after Rabbi Yosi moide, even Rabbi Yosi will agree that by reciting shahakol even on bread and wine, he's completely fulfilled his obligation. So in conclusion, we have two separate disputes, two separate machlokes. Number one, between Rav Huna and Rav Yochanan. If one recited shahakal on bread or wine, according to Rav Huna, he's not yaitze. According to Rav Yochanan, he is yaitze. Now we have another machlokes regarding if one composed his own composition. He said, Baruch hamakim shebara. In that case, is he yaitze or not? According to Rav Meir, is yaitze. Because he said, Kamana pazeh baruch hamakim shebara, that is sufficient. According to Rav Yossi, he deviated from the matber shtavach hachamim, from the accepted formula, and is not yaitze. The Gemara said that these two discussions are not necessarily connected. In Rav Meir's case, it is unique since he mentions the pas. Therefore, he's yaitze. In Rav Yossi's case, it is so different because he completely deviated. He made his own bracha. Therefore, that is worse than merely reciting shahakal. Continues Gemara with the story. Binyamin the shepherd, Karach Rifte, ate his bread, and following his meal, he composed his own unique brachas hamazon. But Amar, he said, Berich Mari, blessed is the master, the pita of this bread. Amar Rav Yatza, he fulfilled his obligation for brachas hamazon. Says the Gemara, how could that be so? Va'amar Rav, didn't Rav teach us? Called bracha Hashem ba'askaras Hashem. Any bracha that doesn't contain mention of Hashem's name, and a bracha is not a valid bracha. And Binyamin didn't mention Hashem's name. Says the Gemara, he did. Indeed, he said, the Amar Brich Rachmana, blesses the merciful Hashem, Mari Pita, the master of this bread. Says the Gemara, but 1 second, he only made one bracha. For Birchas Hamazon, we need 3. Vabina Sholish brachas. Birchas Hamazon consists of 3 brachas. Says the Gemara, you're right. Ma Yatza, the Kama Rav, Nami, what did Rav mean when he said Yatza? Yatza, bracha Rishayna. He fulfilled his obligation for the first bracha, Birchas Hamazon, which thanks Hashem for the food. Says the Gemara, if so, my Kamashman, what is Rav teaching us? Rav is teaching you that if one recited Birchas Hamazon in a language other than Lashon Kodesh, he fulfills his obligation. We know that from elsewhere. Tanina, we learned. These things can be recited in any language. Parsha Saita, the Parsha that we read to the Saita, Vidi Meiser, the confession of Meiser, or Kriya Shema, Utfila, Birchas Hamazon. So we see that Birchas Hamazon can be recited in any language. Says the Gemara, Itzrich. Nevertheless, Rav needs to teach us. Perhaps I would think, this allowance is only the Amr b'Lashon Chayil when one recites Birchas Hamazon in a foreign language, in the exact manner, using the exact words as the Rabban established to be said in Lashon Kodesh. He's merely translating it. But in a case of but if he doesn't say it in Lashon Kodesh, he doesn't say it in the same manner. He composes his own formulation, just like as Binyamin did. Perhaps that is not good. Kamash Malon Rav teaches us, even in that case, he's yaitzi. Go for what we just learned. Amar Rav. Called bracha Hashem ba'askaras Hashem in a bracha. A bracha that doesn't contain mentioning of Hashem's name is not valid. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, that's not enough. Called bracha Hashem ba'askaras, a malchus in a bracha. In addition to mentioning Hashem's name, he must mention the malchus, the kingship of Hashem, melech ha'olam. Amar Abaye, Kavasi Dav Mistaver, it is reasonable to follow Rav's opinion that all is required is Hashem's name. This is not as we learned in the Mishnah. When a person makes vidi ma'aseh, he says, I haven't transgressed your mitzvahs, I haven't forgotten. What is it referring to? I haven't neglected to make the bracha when I was mafresh from ma'ases. I haven't forgotten from mentioning your name during that bracha. Vilu malchus like tani, and there's no mention in this Mishnah regarding malchus. Apparently, Hashem's name is a vital component in a bracha, but not malchus. Rabbi Yochanan will respond and say, Tani, let's amend and interpret the Mishnah as follows. I haven't forgotten. Shimcha, from mentioning the name of Hashem, and also your own kingship when I recited the bracha. Those are 2 required elements in a bracha. The name of Hashem and also malchus of Hashem. Continues the Mishnah. Anything that doesn't grow from the ground, he recites shahakol near b'dvari. Ala chaymetz, for instance, on vinegar, vala noivlois, the Gemara will explain what this means, vala goivai, on locusts, oimer shakol niyavadvari. Rabbi Oimer? No. Kol shemin klala, anything that is a species of curse, ein mevarach alav, we don't make a bracha on it at all. For instance, vinegar that is spoiled wine, or locusts that come devour the produce in the fields, that is considered to be a cursed min, a min klala. Things that have a negative association and a bracha, which is something positive, is not meant to be said on these items. Concludes the Mishnah, fun of meaning harbi, one have many species before him. If amongst them is from the Shivas Haminim, all of them varach, on that he's meant to make the bracha. No, but varach aleiza and sheirtza, he may make the bracha on any one which he chooses. Tanar Rabbanan went on Brisa, al dava she'gdul ben aretz, on things that don't grow from the ground, going basar, behemoths, meat of domesticated animals, chayos, meat of wild animals, v'oivas of fowl, v'dagam and fish, oimer shakol ne'edvari. Al achol milk, val beitzim eggs, val gvinan, cheese, oimer shakol. Al apas she'ivsha, bread that initially requires hamoitzi, but it got moldy, it got ruined. Or al hayayin shekrim, wine which ordinarily requires a hagafen, but it got spoiled. Val atav shalei dish of its it got spoiled. On these items, since they got changed for the worse, now the bracha is oimer shakol. Ala melech on salt, val azamis on brine, val kmeinu pitris on mushrooms, oimer shakol. Apparently, says the Gemara, remember the kmeinu pitris, mushrooms lav gedul karkaninu, are not considered to be growing from the ground. Vatanya, haven't we learned a brisa that says, "Hanoidim peres haaretz," one who made a vow and had to refrain from peros haaretz, also peros haaretz, he may not eat fruit that come from the ground, vegetables, anything that grows from the ground. Umuta v'kmeinu pitris, he is allowed to eat mushrooms. Why? Because they're not considered to be peros haaretz. But v'mamar kol gedul karka alai, anything that grows from the ground, anything that has a growth from the ground, I will refrain from. Also, afbekmeinu pitros, then he may not even eat mushrooms. So apparently, mushrooms are considered to be gedulei karka, and this is in contradiction to our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Abaye, you're right. Mirba rabu mara, they grow from the ground. The moisture emanates from the ground, which produces these mushrooms. However, meinek loyam kimiara, they don't get a direct connection, direct sustenance from the ground. They're perched on various objects, wood, kalim. They get their moisture from the ground, but it's not a direct connection. Therefore, regarding a neder, if one says, I will refrain from peres haaretz are referring to those that are directly connected to the ground, and not mushrooms. However, if he says, kol gidulei karka alai, anything that grows from the ground enables them to grow, that includes kmeinu pitris. So that explains the Mishnah by neder. Says the Gemara, 1 second. In our Mishnah by brachos, what does it say? What wording does the Mishnah use? Vaha al dava she'ein gedulei ben haaretz katani. The Mishnah says something that is not gedulei ben haaretz requires a shakal. You just told me that mushrooms are gedulei ben haaretz. They do grow from moisture which comes from the ground. So why do they require shakal? Says the Gemara, Tani, let's amend and interpret the Mishnah as follows. What are things that require shakal? Al davar she'yonik min haaretz, something which doesn't get a direct sustenance from the ground, that requires a shakal. And indeed, mushrooms fall into that category, because although they grow from moisture which emanates from the ground, but they are not yonik min haaretz, they don't get a direct sustenance from the ground, and therefore their bracha is shakal. Va'al hanoivlos, they too require shakal. What exactly, my noivlos, what are they? We have a machlekes between Rav Zera and Rav Lo. Chadama one says, bushlei kmar, these are dates that were scorched, burnt by the sun. One says, Tamar Dezika, dates that were blown away by the wind. Says the Gemara, Tanan, the Mishnah said, Rabbi Yudai Mikol Shumin Klala, anything that is a min klala, doesn't require any bracha. And Rabbi Yudah is referring to those three items, Chaimetz vinegar, Noivlois, and Goivai. Says the Gemara, Bishleim Ilman Omar, it's all well according to the Shita that says, what is Noivlois? Bushli Kmara, dates that were scorched, ruined by the sun. If so, Haine the Koil, min klala. That's why Yehuda refers to them as a min klala. That's they're ruined. Ela lamanda matamar dezika. According to the one that says, what is noivlos? Plain dates, good quality dates that were blown off the tree by the wind, so they didn't ripe completely, but they're still good quality. If so, my min klala. What does Rav Yehuda? Why does Rav Yehuda refer to them as a min klala? Says Gemara Sha'ara. Rav Yehuda, when he says min klala, he's referring to the other two items: the vinegar, which is wine that was spoiled, the locust, but not to noivlos. Some say as follows. It's all well according to the Mandamar Bushli Kmara that noivlos is referring to scorched by the sun. That's why according to the Tanakama, the bracha shakal, although a date requires her eights, but since now it got ruined for the worst by the sun, it went down a level, and the shakal is appropriate. El Mandamar Tamar Dezika, the noivlos are good dates that were blown away by the wind. Why do we say shakal? They're good quality, her eights is appropriate. Says the Gemara, okay, now we must change. Ella must be, but noivli stama, when we have a term called noivlois, when the Mishnah mentions the word noivlois without any additional description, like an Al Mishnah, everybody agrees that it's referring to bushli kamarninu. It's referring to dates that were scorched by the sun. Therefore, the noivlois and Al Mishnah are those type of dates that were ruined, and therefore they are considered a min klala, and therefore the bracha is shahakal because they were changed for the worst. Ki pligi, this machlokes that we mentioned regarding the definition of noivlois, that is only b'noivlois tomorrow. When the term noivlois tomorrow is used, as we find in the Mishnah. Demai is produce bought from a Amaretz, an unlearned fellow. We're uncertain about whether he removed the tumas and maisers. Therefore, the Chachamim required one to be mafresh with certain halachas, as discussed in Maseches Demai. That's why it's called Demai. Demai, what is this? We're uncertain regarding its status. Now, there are some items that are called Hakal Shabbat, the lenient ones. Since they are poor quality, they're of low value, and the Amaretz has no incentive to cheat, and therefore we assume that he indeed was mafresh tumas ma'asos regarding the following list of products: hashisin, v'arimin, v'ozradin, v'shuach, v'shikma, v'guf, v'nitzvah, v'negus tmara. What do these things mean? It says Gemara shitin, amar Rav Chanan Yochanan min te'enim, a type of cheap figs. What is rimin? Kandi. What is ozradin? Tulshi. What is meshuach? Amar Rav Chanan Yochanan te'eni chivras, so some white figs. What is meshikma? Amar Rav Chanan Yochanan dovi. What is gufnin? Shul hi gufni, those end of season poor quality grapes. What is nitzvah? What parcha? And what is noivlois tomorrow? Now we have a machlekes. Rav Eloi, Rav Zera. Chad Amar noivlois tomorrow means bushli kamra, those scorched by the sun, the days that were scorched by the sun. Chad Amar tamar dezika, days that were blown off by the wind. So in conclusion, when it says noivlois plain, we're referring to days that were scorched by the sun, as in our Mishnah. When the Mishnah says noivlois tomorrow, then we have a machlekes. Says the Gemara, okay, Bishleiman da Amar Bushlei Kmara, that the Mishnah Demai that says noivlois tomorrow are part from Demai, and we're speaking about Bushlei Kmara, days that were scorched by the sun. If so, we understand the Mishnah properly. That's why the Mishnah says Hakal Shabbat Sveikinu the Pater. These that we are uncertain regarding their status, so they're Pater, because we assume that being that they're so cheap and low in value, the Ma'aretz did the tumas ma'asos. But we imply from here that if one knows for sure that they are tevel, that no truma ma'aser was removed, they are indeed obligated. Havada and chayav. We're chayav to remove truma ma'aser from these dates that were scorched by the sun. That noivlois tomorrow is referring to dates that were blown away by the wind. How can you say that vada and chayav? If they are vade tevel, we know for sure that truma ma'aser was not taken from them. They are obligated. They have kerinenu. These things that were blown away by the wind have a din hefker. Since the owner was mafker, he lets go of these things. He gives up on them since they're blown away by the wind, so they remain ownerless. So how can we say that they're chayim and tumas ma'asos? We know that something that is hefker is pater from tumas ma'asos, is exempt. Says Gemara Chmayaskin, and we're speaking about Shason Goyren. He gathered these dates, he made from it a pile, and they are obligated at least midrabanan. These are items that belong to the ani, to the poor person. Leket, when a person harvests and he drops something, that stalk goes to the poor man. Shikho, he forgets part of it in the field. Apeya, a corner of the field, that belongs to the ani, and we know that these items are exempt from tumas ma'asos. But, however, if he goes ahead and he gathers them together, Shason Goyer, and he gathers them into a pile, hukfil ma'asos, they become fixed. They're chayav ma'asos d'Rabbanan, since Rabbanan were concerned that an onlooker will see, a full-fledged pile of produce is part of a meiser, so the Chacham were machayiv midrabanan. So that's the explanation here too. Noivlois tomorrow, days that were blown away by the wind are hefker, but if one decides to make them into a pile, into a goyren, they are chayiv midrabanan. Ikadamid, there's another version of the Gemara regarding this discussion. It's all well according to the sheet that says that noivlois tomorrow mentioned in that Mishnah in Demai are dates blown away by the wind. If so, we understand the discrepancy in terminology between that Mishnah and our Mishnah in Brachos. That's why. That's why by us and our Mishnah referring to noivlois, which is burnt dates that were scorched by the sun. That's why the Mishnah says noivlois tomorrow, because we're referring to the scorched ones. V'hasam, and over there by Demai, cordially tomorrow. That's why over there the Mishnah says noivlois tomorrow, because we're referring to an entirely different type of thing. Dates that were blown away by the wind. That's why over here the Mishnah used the word noivlois in reference to days that were scorched by the sun. Over there it's noivlois tomorrow because it's days blown away by the wind. But according to the sheet that says that the term Noivus Tmara in Demai, as well as referring to scorched by the sun. Nisni divided Noivus Tmara. So what's the discrepancy? Why is there a difference in terminology? Both Mishnahs, by us and Brachos, and over there in Demai, are referring to the same item, dates that was scorched by the sun. So why the difference in description? Nisni idi v'idi Noivus Tmara. In both places, the Mishnah should say Noivus Tmara, or Oyi idi v'idi Noivus Tama. In both places, the Mishnah should merely say Noivus. Kasha. It is indeed difficult. So in summary, we have a number of items that are shakol nebedvaroi. Number one, we have the basar, the chalav, the gvina, the beitzim that are not gedule karka, and therefore they require shakol. We have pas she'ipsha, bread, which ordinarily requires a hamaitzi, but when it gets spoiled and ruined, it goes down to shakol. It's something regarding wine that got spoiled, or a dish shiur b'tzarasai. Next down the list is melach v'zamis, even though these are items that not necessarily people will eat, but since occasionally one does eat them, they require shahakal. And kmeina pitres, these are the mushrooms that are gedalim in akarka, although they receive their nourishment indirectly from the ground, but nevertheless they're not yoinik min akarka, they're not directly connected to the ground. It is not a direct nourishment, and therefore they too are shahakal. And finally, we have items that are simen klala, like chaymetz, wine that turned into vinegar, noivlois, which the Gemara concluded to mean bushlei kamra, the dates that were scorched by the sun, and goivai, the locusts, the grasshoppers. According to Tanakama, they too require shahakal. However, according to Rav Yudah, since they are min klala, we do not make a bracha on them. They have a negative association, and a bracha is meant to be a positive thing, and only meant to be said on things with a positive nature.